All right, terrific. So today we're going to talk about SharePoint help that really helps. Let me make sure you can get my screen here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Here we go. Now I can see your screen.
Perfect. So a little bit about myself. I've been a SharePoint developer since 2008, and I do a little bit of everything, but primarily front-end development along with in-text forms and workflows. Most of the time it's been out of Knoxville, Tennessee, but I'm in Atlanta now with a company called Carastar. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work on SharePoint as just an individual, as part of a bigger team, and also as a consultant. And so one of the best parts about being a consultant by far is that you get to go into a lot of places and see how they're using SharePoint to solve business problems. One of the things, though, that I've definitely noticed is that there's this gap between the SharePoint help and what people really need. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Back at my first SharePoint position, I was lucky enough to work with a fantastic designer, and we were working on this great site. And, you know, I've got colors, I've got bells, I've got whistles. I was going all out on this site, and she gave me the advice that, you know, nobody wants to hang out on your site. They want to go there, do what they have to do, and then leave. And if they're able to do that, it's a success. So I've really taken that to heart, and I've tried to incorporate that in SharePoint solutions. I mean, it sounds easy enough, right? But the reality is sometimes processes are complex. I worked on a project site template that had a 300-page process manual. So the idea that you could just get in, do what you need to do, and get out is it's difficult to accomplish, and it's not something that you can do with the out-of-the-box SharePoint help button for sure. Because, again, processes are complex, and people have questions. They want to know, how long is something going to take? What exactly is the process? Who's going to see this information? Something's wrong, who do I contact? And why do I need to fill out this section? You know, it's almost like we need a custom help button, right? So here is just the SharePoint help button. They do give it to us, but again, it doesn't answer any of those questions that we need to answer for business users to be able to get to a site, do what they need to do, find the information they need to find, and get out successfully. And really, if you've been doing this for a while, you've gotten that call before where someone calls you and says, hey, trying to figure something out, and I clicked on the help button. We all know what comes next. It wasn't very helpful, and that's why they're calling you. So that means that it's not a successful experience for them, and it's not a good experience for me either, because I need them to be able to do their job without calling me. And I'm not unique. Like I said, I've seen people all over try to solve this problem. So we've embedded links to help documentation directly into forms. We've added help inline. We've created support pages on sites. We've used OneNote. We've used wikis. We've used manuals. All of those solutions, there's nothing wrong with any of them if they work. However, I've rarely seen them implemented where they provide a consistent user experience. And in steps Microsoft way back in SharePoint 2010, and they introduced the new custom site help section feature. So, and I kind of still refer to it as new because there's so many people out there who don't know what it is, how it works, and really how to leverage it in their business. So that's what we're going to look at today. And let's see. So before we dig into it too much, I just want to talk about a little bit about what belongs in help, because, you know, the help that is in the Microsoft in there by default that they provide is, how do I do this? How do I do that? And what we really want to do is provide the extra information to the end users. So we want to have things like support and contact information, so they know, who do I call? Tips and troubleshooting tips, frequently asked questions. if you're getting asked a question or two or more than 2 or 3 times, and it's something that has to do with the business process, this is definitely something that you want to include up there in your help. If you are doing approval workflows, the approval process, making that visible and putting it out there is fantastic. Understanding, again, the business process, the logic that goes behind it, change logs. If you're doing custom notifications or alerts, you can also put information about how do I subscribe, how do I unsubscribe, and schedules. So, for example, if you're doing a PTO, you have a PTO calendar, people are getting in there and they're updating it. If they click on the help button and they had a list of, a link to the HR policies on time off, and then maybe even a calendar of company holidays, something like that would be helpful. So not only do we need to have relevant information in the help button, but we need to set it up so that when you click on the button, you go to the section of help that's most relevant to what you're doing. So a couple of other notes that I just do want to throw out there. This is going to apply to on-prem SharePoint 2010, SharePoint 2013, and SharePoint 2016. It's not currently available in Office 365. The last time I looked, the custom site collection help feature is in Office 365, but when you click on it, nothing happens. It doesn't actually work. So I just want to make sure that you guys let me go back. There we go. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at getting this set up. This is the standard help button. You guys have all seen this before. And again, it's how do I do something? And let's close that. And the next thing we're gonna go ahead and get this activated. So I'm gonna go on Site Actions, Site Settings. This is one place that you have to be a site collection administrator. There's only 2 things that you need to do as a site collection administrator. The rest of the work that happens can be done by anybody that has permissions to the document library. So I'm going to go in here to Site Collection Features.
So Pam, before we do that,
yeah.
Looking at the help, I agree with what you're saying, by the way. Looking at the help right now, do you feel that there's enough information available right now? So if you click on the help question mark, is there anything that the user can use right away?
So, there is information in there that they can use right away if they need to add a document or upload a document. But if they're trying to understand why they're doing something or just the logic behind it, or who to contact, that information is not going to be in there. Anything that's company specific or specific to a department or a business process.
So it's not very contextual to them or to their company processes, is what you're saying?
Not at all. Not at all. There is. It's completely generic, and it's not going to help you at all with anything specific, which is really what we want to get to. We want to put the help, SharePoint help, where you just really want to put it someplace where, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here, but you want to put it someplace where it's contextual. Whatever you're doing, that's the help that you want to see.
Absolutely. And I agree with what you said before, that end users, they just want to get their job done and get out. They don't really want to get trained. They just want to do their job. And just happens to be that this is within SharePoint that they're doing their job.
That's exactly it.
How can,
yeah, they don't want to be trained. So they just want to do what they have to do, get in and get out. So here's the custom site collection help, and I'm going to click Activate. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go back into Site Settings. And here are the help settings. And so that was at the bottom of the site collection administration. So this is the other thing where you might need a site collection administrator. So you have central administration help, and then you have SharePoint help. These are the two default collections. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck those because we're not going to use them. And when I click on the help button now, you see there's no help. Okay, so which is sometimes really the same level of help they get if the content's enabled. So let's see. What happened when I did that? When I activated that feature, it created a new custom site collection help document library. And this is where all of the work is going to happen. After this, anybody can update and maintain and manage the site collection help as long as you have permissions to this document library. So I'm going to go over here. There's 4 different content types that you need to be aware of. There's kind of a hierarchy to this. So first you have the help collection, and the only thing that you can add at this level is a help collection. Within the help collection, you can have help categories, media files, and help topics. So help topics are always going to be HTML, and the help media files are going to be, you know, pictures, videos, things like that. So media files aren't going to show up in your help. You can embed them into a help topic. So if you want to embed a picture, embed a video, something like that, you can do that. The help categories you're going to use to organize all of your help topics. So if you have a lot, you can kind of break them up and manage them. So what I want to do for the purpose of this demo is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set our site collection help up to kind of mimic the structure of our site hierarchy. So we've got the portal, accounting, HR, IT. So let's see. So this name is just an internal name. The title is what's going to display. So the locale ID, you know, for me it's 1033. If you're in different places or you're supporting multiple languages, you know, you'll need to enter in the appropriate one. So product, I'm going to enter in here portal as well. And this is one of the things that we're going to use later on in the demo to set up the mapping. If you did a SharePoint upgrade, maybe you have sites that are in different versions. So we're going to leave that blank. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. So we have one site, one help collection. You don't need to refresh. It automatically shows up. So let me go back here and do another one. All right, we'll do one more and I think we'll be close enough. All right, perfect. So now we're going to go back here. You can see we have our help collections right there. And we'll just check back here to see what's happening in help settings. So this is just something kind of interesting to think about. When you do start setting up your site collection help, if you are setting up things and you don't want them to be visible immediately, you can just go through and uncheck them. People can still add content, they can still work on it, but it doesn't have to show up right away. All right, so let's go back to our site collection help, and let's see. I'm going to add a little folder in here, and we're gonna do a help category, and I'm gonna call this employee resources. All right, so we have that there. And the context key is something else that we're going to use for mapping. And so for now, I'm just going to put context in there, just so we have something in there. And let's see, I think I have some, okay, files I can go ahead and import. So I'm going to click on Help Topic. My desktop. And I have a couple of, I'll go to HR. So these are not necessarily in the right place, but when you, there we go. We go into employee resources. Let's upload a document and add some suggestions. And let's see, important context. So you do want to make sure that you have a title. If you drag and drop content into here, it's not going to have a title and it won't display in your help button. So let me go into portal. So you can see here we have the category. This is where I added the employee resources. So we can look at that in employee resources. Here we have the new hire form. We have some important contacts. Some of my pictures didn't come up. I'll have to look at that. And let's see. So here's our little welcome to HR. So within these HTML files, you know, you can add just basic JavaScript. If you just want to put an alert, you want to do a redirect, you want to send people somewhere, that's fine. You also have this little button here. So if you do end up with lots of different help collections and people need to quickly navigate around, you can quickly jump to any of them. Okay, so we have that in there, and we have some basic help. We've added some content. So let's see. Let me skip back over here. These are really the basic things that you need to know. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I think this is a great feature, in my opinion. Microsoft doesn't push it enough, I feel, than they should, because custom help within the current help is something that everybody's been looking for. How do I help my users, like we said before, contextually, something that they need specifically? But the question here would be, do I have to do this for every single site or every single site collection, or what kind of scope are we talking about here for these help items?
So this is scope to the site collection at this point. So I think that you could definitely maybe at some point set it up so that you had one collection, but honestly that's not how it's set up, and you would definitely need to do some custom development if you were going to try to set it up so you had all of your help in one place. Another downfall to doing that, I think, would be that it would probably make it a little harder to have your end users go in there and generate their own content, which is, I think, really key. As developers, you know, the kind of things that I'm providing a lot of times is, you know, how do I add something? How do I delete something? But there's that contextual help that people need to know, like, what is the business process? Who can see this? Who's going to approve my request? Things like that. You know, the business drives a lot of that, and so for them to be able to just add some context around these forms and workflows and other things that we have in SharePoint is really so real quick, let me go over the content types. The forms in the site collection help documents, you have 4 content types. One is the help collection. That's always going to be your top level one. Within that, you can have categories and help topics. So your categories are just going to organize your help topics. Any embedded media is going to have a media content type, but it won't show up directly in the help. It's just something that you'll be embedding. Activating it is super easy. You go to site settings, you activate the feature, you can review the help settings, and then you just create your collections, categories, you're good to go. Anyone have any questions about any of that?
Yeah, folks, if you have questions, I saw a few. One came from Andrea, Fee, and S. Dottie, I believe. And I was able to answer some of those more logistics one. We are recording this, and we will make this available to you later as well. But of course, the interactivity here is super important. So if you have any additional questions, put them in the question and answer panel. I'm sure Pam will talk about it. You know, the question that I had for you also, Pam, is exactly what you're covering next as to what type of content can people expose? For example, videos or documents or images, HTML, web pages, and things like that. I think that's something that you have in here as well. That's great.
That's actually what we're going to look at next, is getting this content in here. So this is something that, you want people to get in there and being able to start to do right away. A lot of people are intimidated about the idea of having to create and generate HTML files, though. So let me show you what Microsoft has set up for us. Do a new blank document. Okay. So here we have just a generic Word document. First I want to go ahead and I'm going to insert an image. So if you are using Word to insert your images, this is pretty important to know. You want to put the URL in there, and when you do insert, you're going to do link to file. So let me add just some formatting here. We'll do a little tab. And okay, so I'm going to do, let me click on here, and I'm going to go ahead and insert all of these things that I'm doing are going to work just really actually very nicely in the help. That's not what I want. Okay. Okay, so when you go to save these files, what you want to look at is info. Let's see. Let's do save. Let me go ahead and get this saved to, I'll just put it on my desktop. But there's something we need to check here. So we want to go to options. In the advanced settings, you're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Okay, web options. There is an encoding tab. So you want to make sure that this is set to this Unicode setting and to really just be able to get your documents out there and have them looking nice. So I'm going to do File, Save As, and this time when I do my Save As, I'm going to change it to a web page. And there we go. So here's our web page. We should have it. Oh, I have it right here. I'm going to rename this, actually, and I'm going to do about, and I'll just put a note that this one's from Word. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my help, site collection documents, site collection help. And so we'll put this one just direct. Oh, that's fine. We'll leave that named how it is. I'm going to upload the document. And I want to get the HTML version. And we're going to set this title to about, and this is from Word. And there's one other way that we want to look at that. I'm not going to set a context key at this point, but again, we're getting to that shortly. I'm going to go to Help, to the portal, and here it is for Word. So you can see I have my image, I've got my formatting. You click on links, and it shows up right in the Help. Hopefully I typed that in right. There we go. So HTML content renders really nicely in this page, in this Help page. All right, so there's one other way that I want to show you, and then I'll just kind of explain why. So I'm going to go into Site Pages, and we're going to pretty much, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a new page. I think I tested this earlier. Let's see if that works. Okay, so I'm going to go back in here to this file. So this isn't a bad interface either if you need to create some HTML content. So I'm going to go here. I'm actually just going to browse to my picture. So you could actually upload it directly from your computer. I'm going to do this one from SharePoint. There it is. And again, we've got some pretty easy formatting that happens here. A little bit. And we're going to insert a link. And let's see. Okay. So I'm going to, that's all I wanted to do. So I'm going to edit this page, and we're going to edit the source. And I'm going to do Control-A, C. If you copy that before you save the page, there's a little less Microsoft script in there, but this isn't too bad. So I'm going to do New. And I'll do File, Save As. This is still good there. Okay, so same thing. We're going to go back to Site Contents. We are going back to Site Collection Help. Go back to Portal. I am going to add a new document, and it should be about.html. Going to be from the wiki. So we're going to go here and we'll look at portal. There's the about from the wiki. You can do all the same formatting that you had before. So there's one significant difference that happens between these two that it's important enough that you should be aware of it. So I am going to open both of these. That is the one from Word, and this is the wiki. So the wiki is about 33 lines of HTML. This is the one that we did in Microsoft Word. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 943. So Microsoft Word, it's easy to use and it's sustainable. It is not a bad option, but if you're putting this up in your environment, I definitely want you to be aware that behind the scenes, when you use Microsoft Word, I mean, there is a significant difference in the amount of extra stuff that they add into this page. So that was really the thing that I wanted to show you there. There are tons of web authoring tools. If you have tech writers, they probably already have a tool that they're using that outputs directly to HTML. But either way, don't feel like you need to have a web authoring tool. You can use Microsoft Word, and you can use a wiki. So let's see. So yeah, the help topics, they are HTML only. You can configure the Word to use it. Like I said, you can use the wiki and just copy and paste it out into a text file as well. You can embed media. You can embed videos, images, tables, web pages, all kinds of stuff. So it's really just JavaScript. It's really just HTML. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Yeah, there's one question from Ricardo. He asked that the HTML, is it plain HTML, or did Pam mention that it's JavaScript? So can we have jQuery as well? And also, can we ask for input within the HTML files and store in SharePoint lists?
You can. You can. So I haven't actually tested using jQuery, but it should absolutely work. Everything that was in the VisualSP site worked. So I think most websites will actually pull up right in that window. I don't think you're going to have any problems with jQuery. You can add, and this is not something that we're going to look at today, but let me go back here to the site. When we create these help collections, you do have site collection help within your help collections. So let me edit this. You can actually add in resources. So if you have CSS and JavaScript files that you want to include, you can. And one of these actually has a little JavaScript. No, it's not important compact. Help collection. One of the things that I uploaded, it had a little pop-up button coming soon, and that was JavaScript. So yeah, I haven't found any HTML, standard HTML stuff, JavaScript, jQuery, CSS that hasn't worked. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Great.
All right.
That's good to know. Interactivity within those things makes it even better. I agree.
Absolutely.
There's another question by Marin. It's asking, do you have a step-by-step checklist that I could give to my help desk team so they can create the content?
For like the Word document or for the wiki?
I guess
sure.
So, yeah.
Yes, and there is there's documentation out there, so I will put a link to it in the slide deck to make sure that you have that. But yeah, step by step, and it's like I said, it's very easy to do. So.
I agree also, and many times I've noticed that SharePoint administrators or site collection administrators end up having content anyway, whether it's in Word format or some other format. And what you're showing right now, Pam, is simply take that and plug it in to where you need it, where your users need it. And creation of that content should not be as scary. I agree. It's many times it's simple enough to do through Word or other places. Sometimes this can be a little bit more complicated if you're making a video and things like that. But many times you already have something, or you can get something from the web and upload it or plug it in. So that's good to know.
Awesome. Okay, so let's see. We have built up our site collection help. We figured out how to add some content, and so I think that the next thing we get to is the really good stuff, and this is the final part of the demo, and this is where we start looking at targeting content to specific pages. So we're going to start looking at this just on our home page, and we're going to set it up so that we get our contacts automatically come up when someone clicks up on the help on the home page. So let's go back into our site collection help, and in Portal we have employee resources, and here's our important contacts. And of course, if I click on it, it's just going to download it. But what we want to do is I want to click here and edit the properties. So I'm going to add a context key here. And this is, check that back in. So again, there's two fields that are used for mapping. And one is the context key, and that's going to be on categories and articles, or categories and health topics. But when you get back to these, the site collection help, these help categories of help collections, categories, we're going to go in here and edit. And I think I already put Portal in there. So we have our two fields that we're going to use for editing. And let me show you what this little snippet looks like. I'm going to go back to the Portal home page. And so it's this right here. So it's just a little bit of JavaScript, and we're going to set this navbar help override key, and we're going to set it to first the product, which is Portal, because we're using, instead of products, we're using sites, and separated between the product and the context key, you have an underscore, and I think I named that context. So I'm going to take this and copy it. Oops, I can minimize. So site actions, edit page, insert web part. Oh, let's do that, embed code. That's what I want to do. Part, embed the code. Okay, so just a little note, this works when you're embedding that code. I don't know why, but Chrome doesn't really seem to like it, so you can use Internet Explorer. It does seem to work a little bit better. You don't get kicked out like that. Thank you, Google Chrome, for helping me. Okay, oops, so now I lost my, let me copy that again. Okay, so there we have that little snippet. I'm going to hit save and close. So we're going to click on the help button now, and it took me directly to, it looks like it took me directly to the Portal page. So it didn't pick up that contact code. I think, let's see, employee resources, important contacts. I want to go right to here, even though two of my pictures aren't showing up. Let's see. So let's go back here to site collection help. And I'm going to go into Portal, resources, important contacts. Actually, don't even need to edit that. Copy that and make sure that I have that right here. I think we can even do that and just send it directly to that context piece. So let's see what happens. We'll go to the home page. Edit the snippet. All right. Just going to do contacts there, save and close. All right. I love it when my demo doesn't work. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time. And so we're just going to go to the portal help settings. I have to tell you guys, like, even though this didn't go exactly where I wanted it, the first time that I got the help to go someplace different and realized that I could actually target my content to a specific place, that was a pretty eye-opening moment for me, because that's really what it's all about, is getting that help button. So when people click on it, it takes them to things that are going to help them and that are meaningful. So we're definitely down to portal now, so let's try this one more time. And I actually think that that could have something to do with my file. So let's open that in a new tab. And I'm going to go back into Site Selection Help. All right, we're going to try a different file just to make sure that that is not something crazy going on with my file. And do about. Oh, and so go back to our script editor, edit this. Portal underscore about, and this should get us there.
So there's a bunch of stuff that you have to do to get the reward that you're looking for, I guess.
There it is. There it is. So there it is. Yay! So it was just that other file.
Right.
So here's the thing. Absolutely nobody wants to go through and update all of these pages and add snippets on it, and you don't have to. You absolutely don't have to. So I don't, let's see, I'm going to go into site settings, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do first, and then we'll go ahead and do it. I'm going to change our site collection here. So what I have is, it's just a little snippet that we add into the master page. And what it's going to do is, it's going to look at what site I'm on, and it's going to go ahead and automatically take me to that help collection. So this is going to go to portal. I'm going to click here on accounting, and I'm going to accounting. I'm going to human resources. And it took me, let's see, yeah, I think I'm on the human resources. Yep, human resources help collection. So I didn't set one up for information technology. So when I go to information technology, it's going to show me all of the help so I can navigate through. And at the end of the day, that's the place that we really need to get to, so that you're not always updating these individual pages. There's times you might have updated an individual page. So let's say, you know, your calendar on your, let's see, we go to events. We're going to do a new event. It's possible that you want to add that little snippet onto this page because this is a special kind of event, and, you know, when they click on the help button here, it needs to, you know, it needs to take them to something different. So there are definitely places where you might use that little snippet, but let's take a look at, let's see. So we're going to go back. We're going to look at the master page. I'm going to set that up, and we're going to add in, it's a jQuery link, so, and then we're also going to add in this little help.js. So this help.js, what it has in it is first we're going to look up the web title, and then we're going to get the page. So the web title is always going to be our product, which is that, that first key. And then the second part is going to be the page title. So if you do have like help for a specific page, all you have to do is put that context key in, and it's automatically going to always take you to that page. So you don't have to go back and always do these updates on little snippets. If you use the context key and you use the product key, your help is just going to work, and it's just going to go where you want it to go. So let's go over here into SharePoint Designer. Go to the master page, and let's see. So here's the Seattle master page. So I am going to go ahead and edit in advanced mode. How am I doing on time?
A few minutes remaining.
Okay, all right. So in this head section, I'm going to put this right above the CSS registration. Go back here to my desktop. I've got this saved. So I'm just going to paste that in there. And what this is it's a link to my jQuery file, which I have in Site Assets, and it's a link to that help.js file that I just showed you, which is also in my Site Assets. So I can't change the Seattle master, and I really don't want to anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as mapping, remember what that is. Okay, so I have my master page. I'm going to go back here, and there it is. Go ahead and set that as my default master and custom. So I think I'm good to go there. And now when I go here to Site Actions, Site Settings, and I look at my master page, so it's not there yet. Let me go back to SharePoint Designer. We do a checkout, check in, publish a major version. All right, let's try that again. There it is. Yay. Okay.
Great.
So now it has that, and I'll show you real quick, just in the Site Assets folder, I just have those two files uploaded, so nothing fancy happening there at all. And when I click on Help, this again is taking me to the portal. The accounting is taking me to accounting, and HR. If we went back and we created a new help collection for information technology, it's automatically going to map that information technology when you're on that site to the information technology help. So, you know, it takes a little bit of just kind of setting up and getting used to and understanding the product key and the product and the context key and kind of how you use them. But once you get it down, this is no sweat. This is no sweat, and it's a really terrific custom experience.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about the users, right?
It is. Did anybody have any other questions?
There are a few that we'll take at the end as well, but we're going to go ahead and complete the presentation with where we're going to talk about other stuff, and then we'll do the remaining questions here. I want to ask you personally, Pam, that so this way it works great, absolutely. What if you had to do it for several site collections? And also, what if you wanted to provide SharePoint specific help as well, in addition to custom help? Is there a complete solution that you can do?
So not really. Not without some custom development and things like that. So if you have each site collection is going to have to be set up individually, and it is going to have to be managed separately. If you have content that overflows, you're going to have to, copy it from one site collection over to the other site collection. Also, when we go into help here, as soon as you do custom help, the help can't be searched. So that's another downfall of that. It's just something to be aware of anyway. And if you go back, let me go to top level settings, help settings. The second that you enable SharePoint help again,
Yep.
you go, oh, well, I have my override file in, so it's working. But if you're just pulling up all the help for the site collection, and information technology will be a good example of this because we didn't have anything mapped for that. So let's see. Well, that's interesting that it's coming back to the information technology help because I didn't set that up. Oh, so it did. That's not too bad. So it's putting the product help and then the site help. Without those entries in the master page, what happens is it automatically defaults to the SharePoint help, and the only way that you can get to it is just to know that there's this little tiny, almost barely visible dot to click to get to the other settings. So just kind of keep that in mind.
I'm going to build off on that. And, Pam and I have been talking about this thing. I've been also very passionate about providing contextual help and support to users and also to the help desk. Extremely important if you want your solutions, if you want your implementation to be successful, obviously. We, as a company, also VisualSP, have been in the business of doing just that, providing contextual help and support to users where and when they need it. I think this method is definitely a great method, and of course that's the reason Pam is presenting it over here. And I want to also contrast and show a different method, as Pam and I talked about earlier, and get feedback from folks as well, that this is one method of doing it, which you'll see the recording of that and show you the other as well. So Pam, if you're okay with it, I'm going to steal your screen for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, appreciate that. Alrighty, let's see. Change presenter. Show my screen. And hopefully it's not paused right now. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, great. This is our site, visualsp.com, and from here actually we show it directly. If I click on Experience It Now, I think it should just work directly. So from the Experience It Now, there's a couple of different things. I'll click on the SharePoint. Actually, this is SharePoint Online as well as SharePoint On-Prem, but we don't advertise that here. Let me click on the View Demo site. What I am about to show you right now, hopefully it comes up nicely. Yeah, there's no charge for this particular thing. The question mark, of course, is there, and it's helpful, and it can be customized like you just saw. But we've also found that there's another way of, for example, providing help through something like this, a VisualSP Online Help Launcher. Completely free product to get started with. So things like, hey, let me do a walkthrough for my users. Here we go. This is how you share your site. This is how you can follow a site. And if they're stuck in something where you're telling me I can share my site here, but I don't know how to do it, they can always click on the Show Me How, and that will bring up a video, for example, which is very specific to showing them how to do it. Next over here, next, and then after that, here's your site navigation, here's your top navigation, and done. So that's a walkthrough, for example. And just like Pam was showing before, all different kinds of content types are important for people depending on what they need. So quick reference, annotated screenshot showing people, hey, this is where everything is in the ribbon, how you can get to it. And then they can print stuff like that out as well. Videos specifically of editing a publishing page. So all this stuff that I'm showing right now, completely contextual to the user, to where they are, and also who they are. So depending on who they are, if they don't have rights to edit a publishing page, if they're just a reader, they would not see this help item at all. This is called the VisualSP Online Help System. I believe I have a link to this also that I can provide you guys. Yeah, I'm going to put the link to this in the chat. There we go. If anybody wants to see it. This is completely free, as it says over here. We have another version also which is not free, which is paid, but that's more for if you're looking to edit content. So let me show you that quickly as well. If you wanted to edit and create your own content, like Pam was showing, content specific to context of your company and your department is very important. Then in this case, for example, you can enable edit mode, and then you can change things around. For example, the walkthrough or whatever else. You can edit the content and make changes to it. So Pam, you are aware of a solution like this one. I believe that you guys have a little bit different one. How would you compare and contrast a solution like this, VisualSP provides, with the out of the box that you can extend?
So this is really nice, and the one thing that I do notice right away is that it has a search box, which is super helpful.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more easier blending, perhaps, with the SharePoint, how do I do things, which is still very important, and then the company-specific things of, why do I do things? And so being able to put those together in one place, that's a nice experience. And will that go across multiple site collections?
Yeah, this particular one and the other one that we have also goes across the whole farm if you're on SharePoint on-prem, or particular site collections if you're on SharePoint Online, or the whole tenant. One of the things that I wanted to make sure from our company also is to make it super simple for the administrator to deploy it. So within about 20 minutes, everything is deployed, everything is running. And it could be the same exact thing throughout all site collections. But then, of course, I believe one of the people actually asked about this thing. I think, Andrea, you're the one who asked about it. Can each site collection have different content, or will it be the exact same? So sometimes you do need different content, depending on if that content is specific to an HR team or something like that. So you could have different content as well, or you can have same content. With this product, we make it super simple to do either one.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So does this look, let's say you're in a hybrid environment, and the custom site collection help isn't available in Office 365. Does this look the same in Office 365 as it does on-prem?
Absolutely, exactly the same. So hybrid, of course, is a popular notion these days.
Right.
At Microsoft, and I completely agree the need for it. So when you switch between on-prem to online, the experience remains exactly the same of this VisualSP Online launcher. Nothing changes at all.
Sure.
So for the user's perspective, nothing has changed. And that's what's really, really important for the user. They should not have to know where they are. They just need to be able to do their work.
Yeah, that's very nice. And the idea that it's consistent, I think, is key. People need to have a single point where they can kind of go to and get help.
Exactly. So yeah, if folks want to download this product, like I said, put the link of it in online chat in the chat over here. I think a combination of doing something like this and doing what Pam has showed would really help. Whatever works for you guys, whatever makes sense. In this case, we do provide all the content that you're looking at is directly out of the box. You don't have to create anything. You just have to create your own custom content, nothing else. So that's also helpful as well. So I see some questions here, Pam, that I'm going to shoot off to you over here.
Okay.
And let's see. Oh, actually, this was a comment. Maren, who asked a question earlier, said, have to run to another meeting, but can't wait to re-listen. Great presentation. Thank you.
Excellent.
That's all thanks to you, Pam. Derek asks, what snippet was added to the master page to make that work? And I guess that question came before you showed the snippet.
Yeah, so
that was in the...
I wanted to show you what I was doing before we did it. So basically, all I did is I added jQuery to my master page, and then I added the help.js file. In that help.js is all I'm looking for is I'm using the web title, this right here to get the page, the name of the web page. And so that name of the web page is what I'm putting in the product on the help collection. So that way, when the master page loads and you click on help, it's automatically looking and taking you to the product for that site. So, and then the context key, if there's one available, is going to be whatever, by default it's going to be the page. So let's say you have a page you have like an embedded new hire form, right? If you put a context key on that page, or you name the page new hire form, and in your documentation that context key is new hire form, it's automatically going to take you directly to that help.
Makes sense. Is there another way of deploying everything out to a site or site collection aside from changing the master page?
So you can add the snippet to the individual pages, but nobody wants to do that.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And I ask, of course, because master page editing sometimes is frowned upon depending on which company and what kind of culture it is. But yeah, I guess if you wanted to, you can definitely go that route. And you recommend, I believe you showed SharePoint Designer the way to edit the master page, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Any other ways you would recommend if you don't have access to SharePoint Designer?
If you don't have access to SharePoint Designer, then I think that you're editing snippets. Now, I think that you can create a custom control that you could get added to the master page, and you could deploy it that way. But, I mean, if you don't have access to the master page at all to begin with, then I don't know that you'll be able to deploy that. So no.
There's a comment that Andrea put out over here saying that I fear editing master pages, and that's true. It's difficult sometimes to get your head around that, or sometimes also, and I've done this myself, writing actually the books on SharePoint Designer that I've written in the past, that when you make a character change that does not suit well with the master page, your site will not come up. It's as drastic. I've done this myself. I've screwed things over at times in testing, not in production, where I just made a simple change and just the site stopped showing completely because I messed it up, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, we've all done that.
Editing master pages, definitely not for the faint of heart, but once you do it right, you can get your goals accomplished.
So this is 2 lines, and what I'm going to do is, you're not the only one who's kind of expressed that concern to me, like, I haven't edited a master page before, I'm not really sure how to do it. This is simple, but it's still a little intimidating. So I am going to I'm going to include the master page in with the slide deck, so you have it. As well as the JavaScript file. So you can kind of put it in dev and see it. My recommendation for the master page change is that you open Seattle, you do a file, save as, and save your new master page and apply it and make sure it all works to begin with. Then just paste in those that snippet of code, and again it goes in the head, and I put it just right above that last line of CSS. And it's a pretty straightforward change, but I will include that. And I also, and we didn't look at this, but it's commented out, but if you want to see what the nav bar help override key is passing, you can just uncomment that, and it'll pop it up on the pages. Sometimes it's really helpful if you're not seeing what you expect to see when you click on the help button.
No, another thing that as a trainer I've come across a lot is people asking, how do I get my people comfortable using the question mark button? Because they've just been disappointed. Every time I have them click on the question mark in SharePoint historically, it has never truly helped them.
Yeah,
so
we're all a little
that's
jaded
another
over the
culture
help
change.
button.
Yeah.
And so I think the thing is once you get things out there and you start using it, you know, you just want to keep it out there. You want to keep it up to date and maintain it. And so for that reason, I think that it becomes a tool that you give to the business, and you kind of empower them to be able to go in there and manage it and keep it up to date. Because as developers, if you know we're responsible for updating content, it's gonna you know wither slowly. So
makes sense. Yeah, that's what happens. It gets stale pretty quickly after we make changes. Here, I have another question from Naveen over here asking also one more question. Once we customize site collection help, what steps can we take to make sure users adapt to the content as expected?
So I think it becomes really a training issue. You know, you just want to encourage people when they call you, say, hey, let's go into the help button and let me show you where it is. You want to put out an announcement like, hey, click on the help button. We're going to surprise you this time. You know, because people have clicked on the help button. They do it in all the Office applications, everywhere. It's never helpful. So I think that you just really kind of play on the fact that we're going to surprise you. This isn't your ordinary help. And you just, you know, you pitch it, like I said, you want to get the business engaged. And if you have people in there who are updating content, it's not going to be long before they're telling people like, hey, stop calling me and asking me that question because I put it in the help button. So you can find it. And that's what's really going to turn that around.
Very cool. Thank you. There's a question here from Sharon. And okay, so this one is about actually VisualSP. So if you download VisualSP help for Office 365 and SharePoint 2013, can you update if you move to SharePoint 2016? And I'll go ahead and answer that question. Yeah, the update is actually almost seamless. It's if you're doing the migration, it's very simple to just say, all right, I want to update this with the VisualSP content. It's just there. We've been doing this for many years right now, so the update is something we take care of in the back end, and it's very seamless to the users, even seamless to the administrators as well. You just have to have the main SharePoint admin worry about how I'm going to make it, but within a few minutes you're done. Very simple to go. I have one more here, last one we'll take, and then we'll break over here. Naveen is asking, okay, so I'm going to read parts of it here. We are using wiki pages and jQuery UI framework to prepare our help content, but we always have issues with current macros available in wiki pages. Is there a way we can enhance existing macros in a wiki or get additional capabilities? We are using okay. Is there a way we can enhance existing macros in wikis or get additional capabilities? We are using wiki pages and jQuery UI framework. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that's just a repeat of what I was saying before. You want me to read that again? I don't know if it got confusing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me read. So, okay, one more time. Sorry about that. We are using wiki pages and jQuery UI framework to prepare our help content, but we always have issues with current macros available in wiki pages. Is there a way we can enhance existing macros in wikis or additional capabilities?
So I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem to me that I've seen some wiki enhancements, that there's some other vendors that provide things, and off the top of my head, I can't think of who they are, but you can definitely improve your wiki experience and some of those different, some of the options that you have.
Okay.